everybody, Terrence Popp here from the Lair with another episode of Army Stories with Popp. So I'm trying to get through all of the 9th ID stories, and there are quite a few, and there are some that overlap a little bit. If anybody out there has ever been to Fort Lewis, you know that they had the Madigan Army Hospital. Back in the day, behind the hospital, they used to run a little nightclub for 18 and ups, enlisted club, and it was called the Madigan. This is like one of, I think, 3 or 4 really significant stories that, involved that nightclub and violence and debauchery that revolved around that whole, the way it was. So apparently, you just show up there, you have an ID, you can get in. If you're 18, they put I think it was, they stamped your hand, and then if you're 21, they put a thing on your wrist. Okay, so we go in there, and I got driven there by some people in my squad. This one guy had a car, so we'd all go up there, all of us, 6, 8, whatever. And, I was probably, this is before I went to Egypt, so I was just shy of 19, maybe right after 19 years old. Back then, it was like, I don't know, that's like over 30 years ago. But the English Army used to come there and do some joint operations with, our forces. And this particular night, we're in the Madigan. I've had like 2 pitchers of beer. Me and 6 of us were all drunk, or well on our way to being drunk. And there's some individuals from another battalion who we really didn't like, but it is what it is. There was some kind of rivalry going on, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. And then lo and behold, we got about, 15 of these guys from England in there, English Army. They're drinking, they're doing their deal. Now listen, I'm not going to say this is right, and I'm not going to say it was wrong. But you got a bunch of young dudes in one area drinking. IQ of everyone in the room is probably somewhere between 20 and 30, sub-retard level. And then you get some English guys, they come in. What's going to happen? Y'all know what's going to happen. A big goddamn fight is what happens. Holy shit. Ah, man. And there's rules and shit, basically. We didn't hit each other with mugs or pitchers, because that's, they're still servicemen. They're just from another country. It's not like we're fighting bikers that don't deserve any respect. There was a lot of, suplexes, guys getting thrown on the ground, punching. You'd be on there punching somebody, and all of a sudden, you get punched. I mean, it was insane. We all turned into this big ball of humans. We kind of rolled out the front door, and we're fighting, and then the MP showed up, and there were so many of us fighting that there wasn't enough NPs, on rotation to break it all up. And it literally went on until we were pretty much exhausted. And there's really nothing we can do. And then, by the time it's over, it's over. So the MPs are trying to run people down and blah, blah, blah. And, we pretty much all scattered. And I think they caught like 6 or 8 guys. Nobody rolled on anybody. It was hilarious, because I remember like, who are you with? I was there by myself. Yeah? And you were going to fight 18 Brits by yourself? There was 15. And yes! Somebody got Article 15 or 2. It was company grade, they didn't lose any money or stripes. Extra duty, 30 to 45 days. But hey, we're young, dumb, and we're worth, we're going to make a fucking bad decision every 60 days or so until we got learned. But, it is what it is. And then this is like the same week. Me and my buddy, Mark, we're hanging out at the PX, and you see the Brits roll up in their vehicle. I believe they were using something similar to what we drive now, the LMTV. It's like it's supposed to be the 5-ton, 2.5-ton, vehicle. we didn't have those. We just had the old, deuce and a halves that ran on kerosene or whatever the fuck you put in them. And once in a while, when you start them, they run backwards, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'm like, hey, drive all those guys, and I'm gonna yell some shit out. So I roll the window down, and he rolls by. I lean out the window, and they're all like just getting off the vehicle, and I yell, "Reagan fucked the Queen." Wow. They really took that shit serious because they all piled onto that fucking vehicle. Some of them were hanging on the outside, and they gave chase. They did the best they could, and if they weren't, used to driving on the wrong side of the fucking road, they might have actually caught us. But I could tell they were having some kind of brain housing disconnect when they're trying to figure out what lane to drive, so we got away. Fuck those guys. And this is the final story for the night. I know it's going to be a short one, but I think you guys will like this one. So, we're doing EIB, which is Expert Infantry Badge Training. It's like this whole conglomerate of tasks and physical shit you have to do to get your EIB badge. You got to shoot expert and do all this other crazy shit, the warrior skills and stuff. And they made me take the EIB when I was, when I first got there. I'd been in the Army like 2 weeks, and I made it like all the way to the end, and they had to purposely disqualify me on some bullshit, which they chose camouflage, because, according to the regs at that time, you had to be in the Army for 180 days or more before you can actually get your EIB, so I wasn't even eligible. And they didn't think I'd make it that far anyway, but, fuck them. So, we're sitting there, it's just getting close to about 11:30ish, we're going to start breaking for lunch. And I'm standing there, and I got like 4 or 5 guys who are watching the shit hooks. They were flying over all day. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. One of them comes over, and they have a sling load of a Humvee, and then there was some other bullshit. And then one of them, I can see him off in the distance, and it's got like I think a 155 or a 155, a 105 or a 155. I don't really know, because you can't really tell from that distance. When I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden it just starts falling, and I look over at my sergeant next to me and I'm like, "Hey, Sergeant, it's not supposed to do that, is it?" He goes, "Fuck no!" Whatever was going on, apparently, when you're sling loading shit, if it starts to get squirrely, because that helicopter, when you sling load, it has to be perfect, or it could, throw the height, it could throw off the chopper and cause it to fucking crash. So the crew chief actually has command decision of when he can or cannot fucking cut sling load. So apparently, the artillery piece shifted in its harness, and it caused, a lot of stress in the airframe, and, the crew chief just cut it away, and it fell right into the PX. Now, it didn't hit the building, and luckily it was just before lunch because the parking lot was still fairly, empty. But that cannon came down and stuck in the concrete. It was in about maybe a good 3 feet. Obviously, it's deadlined. And, by the time we got there right at lunchtime, they'd already put yellow tape around the whole thing, and the MPs were keeping everyone back. And that fucking cannon stayed there for a good 2 or 3 weeks until they can unfuck whose fault it was. And I don't remember exactly what the details were, but, what the gist was, shit went south, it fucking happens. Why the fuck were they flying a cannon over the fucking PX is beyond me. But apparently they quit doing it after that because somebody wrote a policy, because every policy that you see on the wall or in the policy book and any post you go to is basically a encyclopedia of royal fuck-ups that people have done before you. So then they have to write a policy to keep that from happening again, because that really works. Not really, but hey, what can I do? Anyway, that's all I got for today. It's a short one, I know, I'm sorry, but you guys take it easy.